Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series on Introduction to R Programming for Clinical SAS Programmers. In this series, we are exploring SAS programming feature equivalence in R tidyverse package. In this video, we will see how to fetch the descriptive statistics for numeric variables. So let us say we have this input data in which there is data for 5 students in which sex, age, height and weight are collected. Let's say we are interested in fetching the average height and standard deviation for height and the number of records contributing to this summary. So how do we do it in SAS? So we can make use of proc summary or proc means or proc SQL to achieve this result. But for this example, I am making use of proc summary. So we need to specify the name of the input data set using data is equal to option. And then we need to specify the variable for which we need to have the descriptive statistics provided on the var statement. As we are interested in fetching the statistics to an output data set, we need to specify that the stats have to be created or stored in the data set named stat01, and that we need to specify an out is equal to option, and we need to specify it on the output statement. So here we are interested in three statistics. One is n, the second one is mean, which is average, and the third one is standard deviation. So in order to fetch a statistic, we need to specify the statistic, which will be the on the left hand side of the is equal to sign, and on the right hand side we need to specify the name of the variable in which the statistic would be stored in the output data set. So here if you see on the third statistic, the statistic std is for standard deviation. The keyword first is the keyword for standard deviation is std, so we are specifying that on the left hand side, and we want to store the standard deviation in a variable named st, so we have to specify that on the right hand side of the is equal to sign, and then we will have to use run statement. So this is how we can fetch this summary using SAS, using proc summary. So how do we do it in R? So in R tidyverse package, we have something called as summarize function. So here we, as with the other functions on the tidyverse package, so we need to specify the name of the input dataset as the first argument to this function. So here our input dataset is class, so we are specifying that here, followed by the keywords for statistic and the names of the variables that have to be used to store the statistics. Again, so here we need to specify the name of the statistic, name of the variable on the left hand side, unlike in proc summary of SAS. So here we were specifying the name of the variable to in which the statistic has to be stored on the right hand side, but here it is on the left hand side. So we are creating a variable named n, which is storing the total number of records in the input data set in a variable named n, and then here on the main we are applying main function on height variable and storing the resulting value in a variable named mean. Similarly here for the standard deviation, the keyword was std in proc summary of SAS, but here it is sd. So sd of height, the standard deviation for height variable would be stored in a variable named sd. So this is kind of providing a summary at the overall data set level, but sometimes we need to have the summary within the group. Say for example, the average height within males and also within females. So how do we do that? So again, let's say we have the same input data set, but we want the summary now to be appearing for males and females separately. So how do we do this in SAS? So all we need to do is add the variable which we need to want to classify the summary separately into. So here we want the summary based on the values of males and females, which is present in a variable named sex. So we are adding that as a classification level or grouping level. So we need to specify the name of the variable, names of the variables on the class statement, so that the values present, a separate summary would be produced for the unique value combinations present on the variables listed on the class statement. So here, as we have provided only one variable, the unique levels would be M and F, and a separate summary would be produced for males and females. The output statement will have the same syntax, and as we are interested in fetching the statistics for height, we need to specify that on the var statement. So how do we do this in R? So here the syntax is like We need to read the syntax as maybe we'll first try to understand what is being done with this syntax. So here we are creating an output dataset named stat02 by using class dataset as input and passing it into a function called group by based on the values of uh, based on the values present in sex variable, and then passing the resulting group dataset into a function called summarize. So this we have seen this the syntax for summarize doesn't change, but as we need to produce a separate summary for males and females, which are the values present in sex variable, we need to instruct that these records have to be grouped based on the values present in sex variable using group by function. So I'll just try to explain this again. So we are using class dataset as input and passing that to another function called group by. So and this group by function groups the records based on the unique values present in the sex variable. Here in this case, males and females, F and M. So and a separate summary would be produced as we have grouped the records based on sex here when we run the summarize function. So we get a similar result for males and females. So in both SAS and R when we use this syntax. So use the input data set, pass it on to group by, specify the list of variables based on which values you want to group the records, and then run your summarize function. So in the summarize function, we are making use of the n function, which gives us the total number of records present in the input data set, and then we are using main function on height and SD function on height here and storing the resulting values in main and SD variable. So one thing to note here is that here n gives us the number of records with non-missing value present in the height variable. Here this is not the case, so I'll cover that in a future video. So this is how we can fetch descriptive statistics for a variable within the entire dataset or within a group in both SAS and R. Now we'll see the demo of it. So let's open R and SAS side by side. So here I have copy pasted the code. I am using proc summary, data is equal to class. I have specified analysis variable which is height on the var statement, and then I have completed my output statement to fetch three different statistics, n, mean and standard deviation. So let us run this entire piece of code which creates my input dataset class and then the dataset which is storing the summary or the average height and standard deviation of height in the entire dataset without any grouping. So let's see the log and then see if there are any issues. There are no such issues. Let's open our stat01. So here there are two additional variables, underscore type underscore and underscore freak underscore as well, but we are not interested in these two automatic variables which we get generated for this video, so let's ignore them. And then here we have n, mean and standard deviation appearing in the output dataset. So let us do that in R. So here we are making use of summarize function. We are specifying the name of the input dataset as the first argument, and then we are requesting statistics for mean of height and standard deviation of height. So let us run these two pieces of code so that we have our input dataset generated and stat01 generated. So here we have the same summary. Let us have the things open side by side. So 62.32 and 5.3379. The result is appearing rounded here, but it is unrounded here. So 78 is now becoming 79. So this is how you can fetch the summary statistics for one variable in the entire dataset. But when we need grouping, so in proc summary, we specify those variables on class statement. So let's run this piece of code which creates a summary within males and females. So here I have summary generated, a separate row created for females and males. So let's go to the R equivalent of it. So we are specifying that class has to be used as input and then passing that into our group by function which creates a separate group for males and females, and the summary gets generated for each unique combination of values present in the variables listed on group by. So here as we have listed only one variable, the groups will be M and F, and then the summary would be generated. So let us run this code and then open stat02 and take a look at it. If we see now here, so a separate summary is created for F and M. So the values are like 60.9, 63.2667 and for standard deviation also we have 6.22 and 5.85 here. So this is how we can generate descriptive statistics for numeric variables in the entire data set and also within groups. Thank you for watching and keep learning.